The Shark Deck.
I'm Johnny Mac. Some quick house cleaning here if you're just downloading the feed on Monday. This is a bonus episode where I will react to the Chris Rock reactions. Lower in the feed, you'll find the normal Monday episode, which has no Chris Rock stuff. Before that, you'll find my rapid reaction that I recorded Saturday night right after watching Chris Rock. And then you'll also find the normal Sunday episodes. So you might have 4 episodes in your feed this morning, depending on how often you check in. Also, while doing house cleaning, if I sound a little different, I'm using my brand new portable setup that I brought with me. I'm recording this on Sunday afternoon around 4 p.m. while sitting in a car at the soccer tournament. And I've been thinking a lot about the Chris Rock special, and I'm going to stick to my guns here that the first half was pretty good. The strongest part of the special was the Meghan Markle stuff, and the second half really lagged, and the closer was okay. I'm taking some heat from people specifically on YouTube who did not enjoy my review, but as we go through here and see some other reviews, I might not be that crazy. Let's start with Jason Zinneman. He writes for the New York Times, and I have a lot of respect for Jason, who wrote, "At 58, Chris Rock is one of our greatest stand-ups, a perfectionist whose material, once it appeared in a special, always displayed a meticulous sense of control. He lost it here, purposely, flashing anger as he insulted Will Smith, offering a theory of the case of what really happened at the Academy Awards after he made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's hair, and in what will be the most controversial part of the set, laid much of the blame on her. A commanding theater performer who sets up bits as well as anyone, Chris Rock picked up momentum midway through. Yeah, I felt about 10 minutes in he found his groove, while always hinting at Smith material to come, with a reoccurring refrain of poking fun at Snoop Dogg and Jay-Z before making clear it's just for fun. His recurring joke, "Last thing I need is another mad rapper." Another running theme is his contempt for victimhood. His jokes about Meghan Markle are very funny, mocking her surprise that the royal family is racist, terming them its originators, the Sugar Hill Gang of racism. There's a comic nastiness to Rock's insults, some of which is studied, but other times appear to be the product of his own bottled-up anger. In this special, Chris Rock seemed more raw than usual, sloppier, cursing more often, and less precisely. This was a side of him you hadn't seen before. The way his fury became directed at Pinkett Smith makes you wonder if this was also kind of a displacement. USA Today was not as kind. Their headline, perhaps Chris Rock should have titled his new Netflix special, "Get Off My Lawn." Wow. They wrote, "That's the tone Rock presented in Selective Outrage. He's crotchety, he's mean, he's predictable and boring." Like many of the biggest comedians of Generation X, Rock started sounding like the guy at the end of the block screaming about kids these days in Outrage, a flimsy, flaccid special that gained nothing from being live other than providing publicity for Netflix. The problem is not that Rock made jokes about young people or transgender people or women or Duchess Meghan. It's that he made bad jokes about them. He doesn't have to like the people he talks about. Heck, he doesn't have to like anyone. But if he's going to spend 5 minutes on a bit about what might happen if one of his parents was transgender, the punchline has to be better than, "Wouldn't that be insane?" Yeah, I thought that whole segment was weak and just a weird thing to even go there. So we're talking about another Netflix special making transgender jokes. What is going on at Netflix? USA Today continues, "If he's going to joke about abortion and killing babies, the punchline has to be better than 'children are annoying.' If he's going to joke about Jada Pinkett Smith and excessively address the Oscar slap, the punchline has to be better than calling her a gendered slur over and over again." His material was oddly outdated from start to finish, with jokes that felt 5 years old, covering such targets as Blac Chyna, the Kardashians, and the time when people used to post sushi pictures on Instagram. Even personal material about dating in his 50s after a divorce is so similar to his 2018 special Tambourine that it feels like a bit of self-plagiarism. Yikes. The Hollywood Reporter wrote, "Netflix attempted to build a live stunt out of Rock doing stand-up material he's been doing on the road for 10 months, and the only thing that would tell you the special was live, after making viewers wait 61 minutes for the inevitable Will Smith material, was Rock effing up the joke, a joke he's probably made around the country dozens of times." They add, "It's not judgment, by the way, to note that a comedy special is the filmed version of an oft-repeated, highly refined stand-up set. If there's ever a comic who did an entirely improvised film special, I don't know who it was. But then again, there's very rarely been a comic whose workshopped reactions to a very public event were getting printed in newspapers in every city he went to." Now, this next section here, amen on what they wrote. They wrote, "Chris Rock breaks his silence on Oscar slap" is a headline I'm sure you're going to see in every website in the known universe. Yeah, when I first started going through the reviews early on Sunday morning, I commented on Twitter that it looked like 95% of the articles had been pre-written, as if, you just wrote Chris Rock talked about Will Smith and then filled in the particulars, almost how like obituaries in the newspaper are handled. In case you're not hip to that, Almost every celebrity's obituary has already been written except for the date of death and cause of death. The Hollywood Reporter writes, the prior workshopping is how I already knew going into the special that Rock was going to make the joke about their respective differences in stature, noting that even in animation, Smith was a shark and Rock was a zebra. This is a joke he made repeatedly, and nobody cares that in Shark Tale, Smith voices a tiny little fish who hangs out with a shark voiced by Jack Black. IndieWire's headline, Chris Rock's Selective Outrage is an hour of buzzwords, 7 minutes on Will Smith, and nothing special. Ouch. They write, even though Rock threw the microphone to the ground before striding off stage, his set wasn't really about outrage. It was about attention. Chris Rock, who's been a stand-up film and TV star for longer than many of us have been alive, knows all about attention. He's gotten it when he needs it and endured it when it's the last thing he wants. He's seen stand-up comedy evolve from an art form that could be constrained by practicing in bars and clubs before recording your special or playing 1,000 people to something that could be recorded at random and shared with the world in the blink of an eye. He knows how to attract attention and use it to his advantage, and the finest craft seen in Selective Outrage stems from his acknowledgement and execution of that tool. In short, he spewed broadly topical keywords for an hour, betting that Elon Musk, Steph Curry, one of the Kardashians, one of the Royals, and of course Jada Pinkett Smith would respond and extend his special's cultural life cycle. Their tweets will be retweeted, headlines will be written about those tweets, maybe more tweets written about those headlines, and it all leads back to Selective Outrage. Maybe an organization will issue a statement condemning his blustery, noting comments about abortion, transgender people, or the war in Ukraine. Maybe Fox News will do a segment. Rock's set is designed to hit as many divisive topics as possible, and given its wide-reaching platform on Netflix, odds are extremely high that people will talk about it, at least for a little bit. And while courting indignation via persuasive buzzwords certainly isn't all Rock did, Selective Outrage was in no way built to last. Half the jokes were obsolete before he even finished saying them. 5 minutes on O.J. Simpson? In this economy? And why does everybody over the age of 40 still feel the need to talk about pronouns? One of his jokes, yeah, kind of hacky. I'm rich, but I identify as poor. My pronoun is broke. Any my pronoun is just lame. I mean, when Roseanne Barr did it, we hated it, right? Yeah, Chris, sorry, dude. The wobbly frame and extra beats actively hurt what was already a pretty average joke toss on a crowd that seemed more bored than anxious, and certainly not loud enough to give the impression of a triumphant stand-up routine. Yeah, I did think the crowd mix was a little low. I noticed that early, and then I kind of forgot about it, but that's a good note. Selective Outrage fell flat in more ways than one. IndieWire adds, I'll be curious if the sound mixing is amped up in post-production for the vast majority of viewers who didn't tune in live. Their grade, a C-. One other comment that I saw on the internet that I'm going to borrow here, and I think makes a lot of sense. In the post-game show, why did you have David Spade and Dana Carvey host it, especially when Arsenio Hall was sitting right there? It's kind of weird, right? All right, that's your bonus episode. Again, to recap, there's a normal Monday episode in the feed. There's a normal Sunday episode in the feed. And I also dropped my rapid reaction to the special in the feed. So you might have 3 more things to listen to. If you've heard it all, well, I'll meet you back here tomorrow. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. See you tomorrow. All right, here's the pitch. 5 stories, they're all good news. It's called 5 Good News Stories. No negative news, just good news. Nice, easy way to start your day. Hopefully you smile. Hi, I'm Johnny Mac, host of 5 Good News Stories. You get the premise? There's 5 stories, and they're all good news. It's the number 5 Good News Stories. 5 Good News Stories. Follow the show wherever you get your podcasts.